Hello, everyone. Gonna wait a few moments for people to trickle in here. Whatever time it is for you, I hope you're having a nice day or evening or morning. Awesome. Great. So on behalf of our team, welcome to the MIT Executive MBA Finance Panel. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. My name is Chrissy Delore. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Assistant Director of Marketing. Joining me are my colleagues, Tom Little, our marketing assistant, who's running tech and will be answering questions in the chat, as well as Sarah Massey, our Associate Director of Admissions and Advising, who will take over the second half of tonight's presentation. We'll also hear from some students and alumni, and you'll hear from them later as well. On our agenda tonight will be the MIT Executive MBA and Finance offerings at a glance, as well as a Q&A with the students and alumni. We do have the Q&A section up, so feel free to type in questions as they come to you, and we will answer them either live or in the chat. So to start off, what's pretty cool is that MIT Sloan is considered the birthplace of modern finance. For more than 50 years and long before other business schools, MIT recognized finance as a distinct field of study. Pioneers like Fisher Black, John Cox, and Stuart C. Myers, as well as Nobel laureates Paul Samuelson, Robert C. Merton, Myron Scholes, and Franco Modigliani all have roots in the MIT Sloan Finance Group, a major force of change and innovation in the finance industry. A few examples include the Black-Scholes-Merton derivative pricing model, the Modigliani-Miller theorems on corporate financing and evaluation, and the Cox-Ingersoll-Ross model of the term structure of interest rates. Now, the MIT Sloan Finance faculty are advancing the field of financial economics while generating innovations and leading edge practices that are critical for leadership in today's complex global economy. The MIT Finance Group is responsible for many of the research breakthroughs that have shaped finance theory and practice, and they have a track record of leadership that continues today. The MIT Sloan Finance Group is also dedicated to conducting rigorous and relevant research in finance, educating a broad range of students and executives in the latest financial models and methods, as well as advising regulators and policymakers on finance-related policy issues. Formal education programs include the MBA Finance track, the Master of Finance, and the Finance PhD program. In addition, the MIT Sloan Finance Group covers a broad range of research interests, including corporate finance, consumer finance, risk management, international finance, derivative securities, financial engineering, asset management, and behavioral finance. It's a lot. The Laboratory for Financial Engineering, LFE, is a research center created as a partnership between academia and industry designed to support and promote research in financial engineering and computational finance. The MIT Golub Center for Finance and Policy also serves as a catalyst for innovative cross-disciplinary and nonpartisan research and educational initiatives that address the unique challenges facing governments in their role as financial institutions and as regulators of the financial system. It also provides opportunities for faculty and students to engage in joint research as well as teaching activities. And through innovative academic programs, a wide selection of course offerings, and groundbreaking research, the MIT Sloan Finance Group is committed to its role as a world leader in financial thought and education. Now, let's talk about the mission and what's foundational to the Institute. As you know, MIT evolved as a preeminent leader in the field of science and technology. And today, the Institute is comprised of a total of 5 schools: science, engineering, humanities, arts and social science, architecture and planning, and since 1914, a school of management. Now, MIT Sloan, and the Executive MBA are all mission-driven, and the mission is central to everything that we do. And the focus of the mission is a differentiator for the Institute, for the school, and most importantly, for your candidacy and how you connect with the mission. To start, the mission of MIT is to advance knowledge and educate students in science, technology, and other areas of scholarship that will best serve the nation and the world in the 21st century. And MIT Sloan is in a unique position because it's part of a larger research institute. Sloan plays the role of translating innovations in science and management into organizational capabilities. Now, the mission of MIT Sloan is to develop principled, innovative leaders who improve the world and to generate ideas that advance management practice. The Executive MBA makes a very special contribution to MIT because the students can immediately put what they learn into practice, and you'll hear a little bit more about that later. I'll now take this opportunity to pass on the presentation torch to Sarah.
All right, thanks all. So here we'll zoom in a little bit from MIT and Sloan to looking at the Executive MBA program and our program itself and some of our finance offerings. So let's start at the program level. The EMBA program, or Executive MBA, is a full MBA program. You're earning a degree from MIT. It's the same overall course hours and requirements as the traditional 2-year MBA program, and you're earning the exact same degree. It takes place over the course of 26 weekends across 20 months. We meet on Fridays and Saturdays, full days. It's approximately every 2 to 3 weeks. So imagine that you're normally coming to campus twice a month. In addition to those weekend sessions, you'll be here for 4 week-long modules. These integrative modules take place strategically about every 6 months in the program. And then additionally, in your final year, there's one international week-long project. It's connected to a months-long course that you will be taking, and the travel related to that is directly connected to the work that you're doing in that class. All right. I should say, in addition to that, approximately in between those class weekends, it's about 15 to 20 hours of work per week. So there is homework. It's a real degree program. During these times, in the weekend sessions, we have our traditional classes, right? The analytical frameworks are those concepts that you would expect to help you through the program. So data models and decisions, things like system dynamics. On the business essential courses, you'll have the classes like accounting, finance, and marketing that you would expect to see in the C-suite of any organization. The integrated modules are those week-long modules that I talked about that are spread approximately every 6 months throughout the program. So starting with leadership and integrative management in our very first week on campus, when you first join the program, really gives you an orientation to a lot of viewpoints, academic viewpoints at MIT. 6 months later, you'll have a week where you'll really dive into innovation and entrepreneurship, and particularly an orientation to that ecosystem in the Kendall Square and MIT area. Finally, leading into those international travel trips and the course that I just mentioned, leading in global context is a global macroeconomics module. So you'll spend a week in your second fall doing that. Finally, leading with impact. Throughout our curriculum, we focus on action learning. You'll hear that word a lot at MIT. Our motto is mens et manus, or mind and hand after all. And so we're really connected into that action orientation here. Organizations Lab, in addition to the action learning that you'll have through all of your coursework, there are a couple that are really focused on the real world practice. So Organizations Lab is an individual project that you will do in your second year within your own organization. This is a key course for executive MBAs and really ties into our structure where you're working full-time while you're in the program. So this brings right back to your organization in a big way in your second year. Our Global Labs projects are, again, action learning projects, but here there's a variety of courses. There are 3 paths that you can choose. One common one is working with a multinational organization and a team of your classmates. So there's that individual project and then a lot of group and then the group learning as well. And Although the majority of our curriculum is lockstep in that we're giving a general management curriculum and really guiding you through which courses to take and in which order. You'll be with your classmates through the 20 months. We build in times for you to focus and tailor your own education and really tailor your path here. So a couple of key areas for that are in January executive electives, which you'll have 2 opportunities to take while you're a student, and in the spring of your second year. So in the spring of your second year, we offer 3 electives. You can learn a lot more about action learning, which I just touched upon here, and the curriculum of the Executive MBA program in another webinar that we have posted on our website if you're looking for a deeper dive into the curriculum. Here, I'll highlight a couple of the finance courses that are key to us. So in your very first term, this really runs through this gives a demonstration of how important this is, threading through our curriculum. So this begins with your very first term, taking applied economics for managers. In your second term, you'll have financial, in your final term, you'll have financial, in the second fall, you'll have financial accounting, spring, financial accounting, fall, financial management, and then leading in a global context that wraps around into your final fall and spring. So these courses really spread all the way through your program. In addition to that, I mentioned that there are some electives periods as well. So we have finance electives in a few different areas. In our next slide, we have a list of a number of these electives. So these are just examples that we've had in past years. In January, we have 17 to 20 executive electives to choose from. Here are examples that we've had. And I'll highlight just a couple. So for example, consumer finance, markets, products, and fintech focuses on case studies, economic models and consumer behavior, behavioral biases, financial decisions, and markets borrowing. In credit markets and credit policies, which is a project work based course, you'll learn about asset management risk, operational risk management, and robust optimization for risk management. So there's a lot of room for you to dive in and focus there. There are a couple of faculty that every executive MBA student in the last few years has learned from that are quite popular among our students. So I'll start by talking about Rodrigo Verde. He teaches financial accounting. This is in the spring of your first year, so it's in your second semester. He's a senior editor at the Journal of Accounting Research. He's previously served as editor at the Accounting Review and an associate editor at Management Sciences. And he's been elected Teacher of the Year by Sloan students, not just EMBA students, but Sloan students as a whole in not 1, not 2, but 3 years, 2015, 2019, and 2021. So it is evidence-based that he's a popular teacher. Adrian Verdelhen is another one of our favorites. Students are surprised year after year at how interesting the two of them can make topics like finance and accounting to students who never knew that they were interested in these areas. Adrian teaches financial management. It's a core class for EMBAs, and global financial markets, which is a January executive elective. His research is really focused on international finance with a particular interest in foreign exchange and bond markets. And he also has been elected Teacher of the Year multiple times by MIT Sloan students. Now, the faculty and the academics are not the full picture. A lot of the learning in our program comes from your classmates and your peers. We are a very experienced MBA program, and so people are bringing in knowledge from all kinds of different areas, and you'll learn as much outside of the classroom as within. And so towards that, we're trying to put together a group of people coming from industries and areas that you might not bump into on day-to-day at work or in the conferences you typically attend. You can see here that our top 4 industries are usually healthcare, hospitals, software technology, banking and financial services, and pharma biotech. So you will have extraordinary peers in the banking and financial services world, but you'll be learning from people across a broad spectrum of industries and really bringing in new ideas to your work. Speaking of our students, you're in for the real treat of tonight. We have 3 students joining us tonight to talk about their experiences. And so, Chrissy, I'll pass to you to make the introductions. Or did I start?
Awesome.
I
I think you can.
Great, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Great. All right, so Human from the class of 2019 is the CLO Investing Senior Vice President at Oxford Funds. Sam Decca from the class of 2021, SVP, Head of US Cash Equity and Trading at Fidelity Investments, and Jonathan from the class of 2023, Vice President of Product and at Pro Invest. The 3 of you, thank you so much for joining us today, taking time out of your evening, entirely voluntarily, might I add. I think to begin, before we dive into the questions from the group, so for all of you joining us today, we have a Q&A. So if you pop it up, you can put questions into the queue. Feel free, as soon as they pop into your head, to throw them in, and we'll make sure to monitor that and make sure that we can try and get to all of your questions, as many questions as we can get to today. But to kick us off, I'd love to just go through, maybe we'll move left to right as we're reading on the screen. And if each one of you could just share a little bit about yourself. I know your titles are on here, but what is it that you do, and why did you end up in our program? So what inspired you to join MIT and the EMBA program in particular?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Nice to have you with us. So as Sarah said, I am now a principal CLO investor for an asset management firm trading structured products. My specialty is CLOs. And what really drew me to this particular program was kind of the diversity of perspectives. As you saw on the slide, there's a really good mix of industries and folks from different areas of the world. I grew up in the finance and banking kind of sector. All my undergraduate work and career experience has been in that sector. I worked with a lot of those folks throughout my entire career, so I have a really good idea about the lens by which they approach certain problems and challenges. And I wanted to get a totally different perspective from a lot of different angles. And MIT offered that with the kind of the diversity of the groups that attend this program.
Thanks, Human. Sam.
Yep. Nice to meet you guys. Sam Decca. I actually completely agree with Human. That's one of the biggest reasons I joined the program as well, is because of the diversity. I've been in finance my entire career. So, 22 years in finance. And I was really excited to be a part of a program that provided that diversity. And the other thing was, I think I spent a lot of time with the faculty before, coming in, and the faculty and the program team and the administration has just been so fantastic. And, it really drew me to the program because I knew that, for me specifically, I was going to learn and take away the most from the best faculty in the country. And so that really, was very important to me. The other thing was, when I think about finance now, finance is becoming more tech driven and data driven. And it's really important to me to find a balance of just, my total finance background and mix it in with more of an engineering and tech background, data background. And so this program definitely gave me that opportunity.
Good, thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Sam. Hey everyone, John Dickerson here. I'm a current EMBA. On that note from Sam, pretty good transition. I'm actually working in fintech, but I've been in early stage tech startups for most of my career. And really what I was excited about in the program is I've kind of progressed from what they call individual contributor roles, where I was, a software engineer, and then I moved into product management roles. But then as you progress in the company, you move into leadership roles. And I felt, I didn't have the skill set necessarily to be a good leader of really big teams and really big companies. So one thing I was really interested in is just that general leadership and broad management foundation, and definitely have come a long way in that regard. Still have 8 months to go left in the program, but it's been quite an adventure.
Yeah, good. Thanks for the intros all. We have been getting some questions coming in. And so I think one that I think is interesting is from Sina, who asks, at what point in each of your careers did you start to feel the need to further your education and apply to the EMBA? So was there a particular point where you were in your career, whether it was, the position in the company or sort of what was going on around you at the time that inspired you to come in?
I can start off and folks can jump in. I think Jonathan kind of nailed it in his intro. At least for me, it was, coming from a finance background and perspective, a lot of what I do particularly is day-to-day trading. And so my performance is monitored, is based in real time on how kind of my day goes. And so it's not often thought, oh, let me take time away from this and go learn and come back. It's not really the model that people use. But for me, as I was kind of progressing from one organization to another, and I assessed my toolkit in being able to take that organization to the next level, I realized that there was skills that I needed a more fundamental approach to, and just kind of to build them up from the ground up and reinforce some things that I had learned and maybe get some new tools in my arsenal. And that's kind of what really drove me to the program.
Yeah, thanks. That's really helpful. Great. I'm scrolling through the questions here. I see one from Jacob, who's a CXO in a healthcare organization, and an investor in the C-suite, and is interested in gaining a formal education to kind of tie together that patchwork of a self-built background. For any of you on the panel, what's your perspective on what a senior leader can learn in the program?
One thing to say is you're definitely, not alone in that. The program is filled with people that not exactly that fit this mold, but who are looking for similar things. Especially in healthcare, there's quite a bit of in my class alone, there's tremendously smart people in the healthcare industry who've had very successful careers, and now they're looking to make even bigger of an impact through management and leadership. So I think, one thing, everyone has a growth mindset. So I don't think anyone in the program is really ever gonna think that they're finished learning. So that's my take. What does everyone else think?
Yeah, no, I completely agree, John. I mean, I think, what's interesting, just to go back to the diversity of the people in the industries that MIT brings on board. It's not like a Wharton where it's just all finance, right? And so there's a lot of healthcare, and there's a lot of healthcare pieces in Cambridge specifically, and in Boston specifically as well. And so you've got this actually an incredible entrepreneurial healthcare ecosystem in Cambridge. And so if you're really interested in that healthcare piece, I couldn't imagine a better place to come to, because it really has a really great ecosystem here. And on top of that, so you'll be surrounded by a lot of people and a lot of classmates in the industry, and then you'll be surrounded by the entire, sort of entrepreneurial, innovative ecosystem in biotech industry in Cambridge. And then, we learn a ton about how to actually, innovate. And there's so many things that whether it's labs, MIT labs, or, just all of the pieces that we, go through from an innovation perspective, from a curriculum perspective, that you're going to, you'd be able to participate in. It's really actually incredible, that ecosystem, and that's what we call it. It's the ecosystem, and I think the healthcare ecosystem, and I would say take it a step further, the innovation ecosystem in Cambridge that MIT takes a part of and takes a lead in is pretty incredible.
Sam, you mentioned earlier too that a lot of the finance industry is moving towards fintech, right?
Yeah.
And that's a really big part of the industry net right now. I see Jesse had a question around, around what the program's focus is on some of those tech trends, blockchain, and really an overall working understanding of digital finance. And so I wonder if you can speak to that both within the curriculum and also maybe for any of you within the curriculum, but then also what are some of the things that your classmates were talking about and doing around the curriculum as well?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think this is a really good question because it is. The entire financial services industry is moving more towards data, more towards engineering, more towards tech, right? And I think MIT bridges all of that together. And there are a lot of great, I think, electives and disciplines that you can take in order to get a lot more depth into those types of curriculum. And then just in general, I think whether it's for me, for example, crypto trading, blockchain, that's what I'm actually participating in more than anything else, and then over the last year now, and so it is absolutely important. If you're interested in what's the future of trading, and how we think about the financial services sector of the future, I personally believe you have to understand crypto, you have to understand blockchain, you have to understand digital assets. I know that there are a lot of electives that we have that cater to all of those pieces. And I think I would say the other thing is, besides just crypto and blockchain and digital assets, I think those are very specific things, but classes like systems dynamics and classes that are focused on the data pieces of it that we learn and that are part of the core curriculum have helped me a ton, just to go about my sort of day-to-day and how we think about it and how we think about our organizational how we think about our organization from a trading perspective. And so it's been incredibly helpful for us. So like DMD, for example, and systems dynamics and ops as well have been actually more helpful to me than, because I already know the economics pieces of it. I know the accounting pieces of it. I know all of the financial pieces of it, but the data pieces of it, so like DMD, systems dynamics and ops were actually very, very helpful for me.
Yeah, DMD, data models and decisions.
Yes.
Yeah, we have. I fall into the MIT acronyms.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, exactly.
It'll be second language to you all soon.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, thank you, Sam. this next question might be good for Human, but could be for any of you. We had one question asking, how the program impacted your growth in either your company or within in your industry. So, for those of you who've had maybe a little bit more time, or maybe you have an example already, Jonathan, but might you talk a little bit about how your role has shifted, or how your impact has shifted after the program or through the program?
Sure. I think kind of to echo what other panelists had said, you kind of get a more rounded toolkit, and in all parts of finance and in all corners of it. So I trade a very esoteric fixed income product that, people still mail checks to each other back and forth. But the world is changing. And so my ability to kind of lead the innovation and kind of drive and influence that change, both within my organization and the industry, has been tremendously helped by my ability to kind of harness the data, present it in a manner that communicates effectively to people, and understand how people in different parts of the organization and from different kind of different industries that we may invest in or lend money to, how it impacts them, has kind of really made me a more well-rounded individual, and the ability to kind of communicate those things to get both what we need as a firm and an industry, but also what our clients need. And that's a toolkit that, again, like Sam said, I had all the finance tools pretty locked in. It's all these other kind of communication tools and ability to kind of communicate with data that this program provided me. I think even more so, like, I now have folks within my class and classes before and after me that I can now easily reach out to and say, well, I'm facing this problem with this organization. If this was your organization, how would you want me to come kind of present it to you? How would it be best received by you? Which is an amazing sounding board that I didn't have before.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful. Did you have any job changes during the program, or did you wait until after?
So I've actually not had any job changes. I've had role changes and title changes,
which is part, right? Which is part of it. That's a job change.
And that's kind of the thing where I think Sarah mentioned early on. So there's a portion of the program where you are invited to bring whoever kind of from your firm sponsored you for this, or basically kind of gave the okay for you to go. And in that presentation, they give a similar presentation here where they also say that this is a full-time MBA program. You're just doing it on a modified schedule. And I think my leadership hearing that, and then me going back the next week, like, there was a big kind of mental model change of being like, wow, all right, so we're going to start kind of shifting things a little bit. And I think that was really helpful.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks. All right, good. I think I saw another one. Chrissy, interrupt if there's any point, but I think I did flag another one. I see Michael's asking about for those for any of you. Actually, John, you're in the middle of this right now, so I don't know if you're far enough along to talk about it yet. But let me know if you are. Could any of you share your experiences of identifying which problem you wanted to tackle in OLAB?
Yeah, this is really interesting. Usually it's a matter of not identifying a series of problems. It's like narrowing it down to one you want to focus on, because the faculty does a really good job, and you're coming off like key core classes like ops, and so your mind's already racing, like, how do I optimize this process, or how do I how can I fine tune this management system that we have in place. So it's usually, I think the hard part is really figuring out what do you want to spend the time on, and what can you have the most impact in a short amount of time through OLAB. So that's kind of what my class just went through, and it can be everything from, mine's more management focused, so it's more about OKRs and accountability, but there's the spectrum is quite broad. Some people in healthcare are doing how to optimize patient experiences and minimize downtime and wait time and things like that. And it really runs the gamut of OLAB projects. but you get tons of guidance and support. It's not like just go pick a problem in your organization. There's tons of frameworks you can use to identify and tackle, a specific issue.
That's good. It's so current for you. Someone, how did you pick your project?
I think it's a very collaborative process through, because like John said, you come in there ready to like boil the ocean and solve every one of your company's problems in like one weekend. But that's kind of another draw of the process of MIT, right? It's process oriented, results driven, kind of analytical frameworks. So they don't let you do that. They say, no. There's a process by which you're going to evaluate the things that are in front of you. You're going to go through these steps. Through these steps, you're going to figure out what is the most efficient and effective use of your time with these skills that we currently have. And then they let you run forward, right? So, and that's kind of the discipline of the structure of the program. It gives you these tools, but also gives you the effective way to use them. So I kind of just follow the process. I have faith in it. And we were going through a pretty significant system implementation. And at first I wanted to do like all 19 parts of it. And Nelson saved me from myself. And he was like, nope, you're going to just do this very, very, very first part. And I was like, cool. I was like, I can handle more, but then I quickly learned that was probably some of the best advice I got through the whole program.
Yeah. No, it's really good. It's a big part of it is how to scope something down to a provable concept.
Right, and it's really defining the problem you're trying to solve, right? If you go in there trying to do everything at once, you'll accomplish nothing or do a mediocre job of all of it. So really kind of forcing the discipline to really identify the problem you're trying to solve was really helpful.
Yeah, that's good. Sam, I wonder, I see we have a question from Greg about how deep the program goes. So, there's the standard MBA people coming in and, a little bit earlier in their careers, taking 2 years off and being immersed. So, how does this go beyond that, beyond a refresher, to that next level discussion? Do you have time for ideation? Is it, where does it really land there versus networking, right?
Yep. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. So I would say, Sarah, you said earlier, a lot of, we have some of the same curriculum as the 2-year MBA program. It's a little bit different because, it's tailored to executives and, senior people. And so there is that. I would say that I can't discount the networking because the amount of and it's not just networking from a finance perspective. For example, for me, it's just the amount of knowledge that you gain across everything and all of your classmates it's absolutely incredible. And what I would say is the program team does such an incredible job of specifically picking out the candidates that are going to go well together for this program is just unbelievable, because I've I've made connections across all different industries, and it's been incredibly helpful for my career, but I've also made friends for life, and it's been an incredible experience just from a personal and professional perspective. And so that, Sarah, to answer your question from a depth perspective, those are some of the things that are happening. And the other things, the other thing that I'll mention is like every single person in your team, all of our classmates are doing such incredible things for this world. And so it's not, the folks that are in this program are not just, people who are just trying to get an MBA. They're really trying to make a difference for this world, like principled, innovative, leaders. translates into every single person that I've, been a classmate with. And they're doing groundbreaking work. And, I was really just so overwhelmed by the amount of the type of work that people are doing across all different industries. And it's all principled, it's all innovative, and it's not just, transactional. And so that's the depth. And it's really great because you learn from them, and then, you get to help them out, and, you sort of get to hopefully create a better world together. And that's really what I've been feeling over the last, I guess now 3 years.
Yeah, Sam, that's really helpful.
Yeah.
I see Human, thanks for clicking on that. I see you found Jordan's question about whether the program provides the skill sets that would enable an executive to move across industries. And so do you want to take that question?
Sure. I think so. As we've discussed here, I think the most important skill sets you get are the broad, diversified skill sets, particularly kind of the foundational level management skills that you might not have picked up because we were all specialized in the particular areas that we were focusing on for the majority of our careers. I think, but the more kind of critical element is this network that you gain and the perspective that they provide into their own industries, their experiences, their connections. And like Sam said, I think it's a really interesting, like, non-transactional is probably one of the best ways I could describe the relationship with the people in my class. Like, there's never a time where I feel like I would do anything for those folks and they would do the same for me, and it never feels like you're asking for too much or it's like a ridiculous thing. I think that's the kind of critical thing, because you all kind of you go through this very challenging thing, and I think there was something about like 15 hours worth of work. I'll take the over. I don't know about that. But I think the critical part is that it's hard. This is not an easy program. It takes a significant amount of your time. You're going to spend a lot of time with these people, and life is going to go on. So there's going to be good things and bad things. You're going to share them, and you're going to bond with them. And when you leave this program, at least for me, and I'm sure my fellow panelists, like, you make really deep connections. And now I have a slew of people in a variety of industries that I can go across and say, all right, listen, this finance thing, I've had a great run, but I kind of want to do something else. Here are my skill sets, kind of like, where do I go? How should I position myself? And that's been a really valuable tool for me. Even within my own industry, just to kind of realign myself towards more of something else that I want to be doing, to get a step away from the day-to-day trading a little bit. And I think that's a really critical tool that in other programs, people are just there to kind of get the MBA and move on. I don't feel that with this program.
No, that's really helpful. And you touched upon a couple of things that I think relate to questions that we've had. One was about how people balance work-life balance, and I know you talked about the hours that it's going to require, and then related to that there was a question about, is it only really possible if you're in the Cambridge area. So I know Human was just chatting right before we started, about the next time he'll come up from New York to visit 3 classmates that are coming from Spain and UAE. And so, yeah. Right?
Yep. So yeah, in my class, we had someone coming from Dubai, Spain. Oddly enough, the Canadian had the longest journey out of anyone.
A lot of transfers.
Yeah, we had a lot of transfers. We have folks from all across the country. But people, I think it just kind of speaks to the quality of the program. People are willing to go through that level of effort to get there.
Yeah, the majority of the class, about 70%, are outside of Massachusetts. So commuting is the norm. So yeah, you're definitely in good company if you're on this call from somewhere outside of Massachusetts. Sam and John, how do you balance work and actually maintaining a personal life while going through this program with the hours that Human was just talking about?
I'll start. I mean, yeah, it's tough. I will sugarcoat it at all. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. But when you get there and you are with the people that you're surrounded by, and you're learning the things, and the curriculum is so incredible, it's just all worth it, and so you obviously, you're going to have to make some kind of a commitment, and some form of sacrifice to do this. I had a baby like during Limb Week, and so it was not me personally, but my wife. But so we were going through a newborn and a 3-year-old, and then going through this entire thing. So you have to make certain sacrifices. But honestly, like I said, the people and the curriculum, it is all worthwhile, and you just have to do what you have to do. For me specifically, I would wake up at 4 a.m. Some people are nighttime people, some people are morning time people. I'm a morning person, so I would wake up at 4 a.m. and do my homework from 4 a.m. to 6:30 in the morning, and do all of the things that I needed to do for school, and then just go about my day. And so those are some of the just things that you need to think about doing. And then if you're traveling, of course, that's a whole nother ball game. I'm local, but yeah, like Sarah said, 70% of the people are traveling, and actually those folks get so much out of the program because they hang out with each other all the time, because they don't actually have families to go back to on a regular basis. And so they get even more out of it from a networking perspective.
Yeah, a night in a hotel and a full night of sleep.
Yes.
Yeah. John, I see you identified a question asking about startups and people with entrepreneurial background. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I'll just say, before we transition here, I would definitely really think about what you want to get out of the program. And it is a massive time commitment. And I would definitely really talk to if you have a spouse in your life or your family, really get their buy-in and get their, it's equally as much of a commitment for them as well. And then the last thing I'll say on that is you do have a support network too. It is very difficult, but you're paired in study teams, and you have a lot of help from the faculty and staff if and guidance along that way. So it's not it is rigorous, but you do have a lot of people who want you to succeed in the program and help you along the way. And then the last as a reference to the startup question, there's a bunch of people in my class. I spent the vast majority of my career in startups. There's a bunch of people who are trying to get companies off the ground right now from an entrepreneurship perspective. By no means are you discounted if you spent most of your career in startups. I would say it's welcome. There's a big entrepreneurship ecosystem here that I've been heavily involved in and loved every minute of it. So I would say it's not discounted at all. It's actually, you'd fit right in that regard.
Yeah, there's always a good chunk of the class.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you all so much. And John, I think you actually started to answer this last question as a great way for my final question for all of you is, what is one final piece of advice that you give to anyone who's on this virtual event right now, who's considering applying to the MIT EMBA, whether they're thinking about either interview prep or they're looking at the application, or just something that you maybe didn't consider until you actually started the program? What's one piece of advice that you'd like to leave everyone with? And feel free to. Yeah.
I would just say, I think we sort of touched on this before, but the mission of the principled innovative leader, is absolutely the most important thing. And what's really interesting to me is, when I was applying, it was like, okay, that's interesting, but it is absolutely 100% in practice at the school. And it is absolutely 100% what all of my classmates are all about. And so that's, it's just really interesting. It's been so amazing to see it in practice throughout, the time I was at MIT, and even now with, I talk to my classmates all the time, and that is a huge piece of it.
Awesome. Human or Jonathan, anything else to add?
I would just say, a lot of us are just, there's so much opportunity here, and there's so many different classes you can take, and so many different, kind of rabbit holes you can go down and learn. You do have to focus and be selective on what you choose. So going back to kind of my last piece of advice, like, make sure you really want to know what you get out of the program. That not only like helps you have a bigger impact on the world when you graduate, but it also really just helps you, stay laser focused, and you can always explore different ideas, but it helps you pick things like the healthcare track that someone was asking about earlier.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. So with that, let's take a look at our upcoming events that you'll see on the screen. These events are both in-person and virtual opportunities for you to meet more of our program team. We are on the road, as well as alumni and other current students who might be in cities that we're traveling to. And also, our application is now open. We do have 5 application rounds. You'll also see their deadlines and when you'll know your decision by, should you submit your application by the round deadline date. So just take a note of that. All of these are also on the website as well. And finally, after hearing all of your thoughtful questions, wish we were able to get to more of these. I'd just like to close by saying that if you want to challenge yourself and challenge convention, if you want to broaden your perspective as well as your network, and if you want to have an impact on your company, your industry, and the world, then we hope to hear from you. Human, Sam, John, thank you so much for joining me. Tom and Sarah, thank you for being my co-panelists tonight. Thank you all for being with us, and we hope to see you at another event soon. Bye, everyone.